I'm here today with the legendary Kane Roberts, who played on the Alice Cooper albums Raise Your Fist and Yell and Constrictor. Two of my favourite albums, and it's a real honour to have you on the channel today, Kane. So, yeah, thanks for being here.
Hey, how you doing, Matt? It's nice to talk to you.
I'm good, man. Yeah, very good, very good. I'm here in Mexico at the moment. It's a little bit hot, but I'm getting used to it. You know, as a British guy, it takes some adjustment.
Yes.
But yeah, how are you doing out there? Where are you at the moment?
I'm in California, Studio City, Hollywood, right around that area.
Oh wow, very nice, cool.
Yeah, the weather's trying to get better, but I think we have some 49 degrees. And I'm from the East Coast, so used to be zero, but now 50 degrees is cold to me.
Oh
So
wow.
turned into a winter. What?
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Honestly, yeah. Anytime I go back to the UK, I'm like, oh, I can't handle that cold anymore. I don't know how I ever did it. You know,
Yeah, I don't like it that much. It's like you go out to your car, you gotta break all the ice off the car, and then
yeah. There's all that.
that's crazy.
It's a lot of effort. Yeah, yeah, a lot of effort. I was reading actually somewhere you're quite a fan of the UK, aren't you? London, was that one of your favorite places? I was
Oh,
reading some.
it's so funny. You tour, and we went to a lot of places, and all over Europe. And I remember everybody said to me, "Oh, the food in England is awful." Well, that's not true. If like I would leave, the hotel and walk around, and this one time I met these people, and they actually I went to their house and they made me dinner. It was fucking unbelievable.
Well,
It was Yorkshire pudding and all that stuff, and they really made an amazing meal. And I said, "This is what England is." And then we got these caterers from England, and they were unbelievable. So the rap on English food is wrong. People just don't know what to do. Americans will go there and they're expecting to see frozen dinners and stuff. The same sort of thing or whatever. And
yeah,
it's different. You gotta know what to look for. But crazy good. And then on top of that, the people, because at that time everything was dependent on MTV. That was where all the exposure was. That's where you heard about new bands. Some of the magazines were important, definitely, but in England they really weren't. It wasn't built on that. It was the written word, and it was word of mouth, just fans of music that love music that would spread the word that way. It was much more sort of like a groundswell, from the bottom up, from like real music fans communicating with each other. And the culture of music in England is very, very deep in terms of how much it means to people. So Alice and I, he'd been there before, so he knew, but I sensed it as soon as we started playing, just how much the fans in England knew about music. Now, there's fans everywhere, and I love them all, but there was just something about England that really hit me, just sort of personally. I just thought it was very cool, and I could relate to the fans. And when I say bottom up, I just mean ground up. People that just have their ear to the music and they're listening to it, and that's where it begins, not some sort of hyped up promo on TV. So I just yeah, I ended up really loving England. Of course, every country we went to had something special about it. It was just a fantastic time to be touring.
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. Well, I'm glad you like England. Having been from as I am from there, it's good to know somebody
Yeah.
likes it. You
Well, you know what
know.
I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah.
Yeah. No, the food is true. We don't have much for food, but the things we do, we do it well. I think. And like you say, the roast dinner, as I call it here. It's yeah, the Yorkshire puddings and that. That's my favourite. That's a great meal we
Oh,
have
dude,
on a Sunday.
and there was some English people here that I was hanging out with, and the guy's brother was a chef from England, and
Ah.
I went there, and the guy's family was there and everything, and he made this unbelievable meal. I mean, he was
Yeah.
working so hard. It was really great. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. My grandmother, she makes that every Sunday without fail. That same roast dinner, and
Oh,
it's yeah,
dude,
it's,
great. That you're pulling in the grandmother card, to trump what I'm saying, and I don't
yeah,
mean Donald Trump. No,
no,
but
exactly.
yeah, no. So that's crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I was very lucky actually. My wife over here, she's Mexican, but we went to visit her family recently in Puebla, like another
Oh,
part of
dude,
Mexico.
Mexican food is way off the chain.
Yeah,
I can't even tell you. I love
definitely.
Mexican food. Because of their food and just the way a lot of Mexican people are that I met. I love that country. I really do. I love those people. It's just an amazing deal. And the food is, insane.
Yeah, totally. Me too. I honestly, I'm living in the downtown Cancun, so I'm amongst the locals, and the neighbors are always selling stuff. They're always shouting out tamales and empanadas, and
Yeah.
you can eat any time really. They're always
They
walking by
probably
with
can't
some.
understand a word you're saying, by the way.
No, that's true. They don't, but they luckily I'm pretty good at not at Spanish, but being
Oh,
friendly enough to get away with it.
good, dude. That's fantastic.
But yeah, I'm learning the Spanish slowly. But no, I was lucky when I went traveling with my wife to see her family in Puebla. They're so accommodating. Her mother tried to make the roast dinner, the English roast dinner, and she
Yeah.
replicated it with the Yorkshire puddings and everything. And so that
Wow.
shows you how accommodating they are over here. They're
Oh,
very
yeah. Oh, that's what you were saying. Yeah, that's cool,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But I love the Mexican food too, like you say. Yeah, the more spicy, the better. The picante.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely very nice stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to get into a bit about obviously your Alice days, seeing as that's something that had such an impact on my life. My dad was playing this stuff all the time. Two of the top
Oh,
albums I'd hear constantly was Raise Your Fist and Yell and Constrictor. And
yeah.
I literally grew up on that stuff. And Chop Chop Chop's one of my favorite songs. And
Oh, geez,
yeah,
that whole trilogy is
yeah,
insane. And just writing it with Alice, the way the lyrics just, poured out of him, and we were on the road, and we would stop in different cities and find a recording studio. And it was always it wasn't like a big studio. It would always be like some kid's house. For some reason, we wanted to do that. So we would find, a local and say, hey, do you know anybody that has like a local studio? We go into some guy, you couldn't even believe Alice Cooper and I were there. So, Alice, not me so much, but, it's kind of amazing. So, yeah. So
that's
we wrote
crazy.
that. And for example, I've mentioned this before, but Prince of Darkness, those lyrics are so incredibly they're so accurate and clear and filled with like all this intensity and mystery. And it literally took him 20 minutes. He was eating Doritos on a couch, and he came home. He said, "Hey, I got the lyrics." And I went, "Seriously?" So he's that good. And I just heard an interview with him. The guy's just, he just knows. His brain is so insanely sharp, and creative. Really crazy.
Yeah, no, he is. He's always struck me as just completely like a really intelligent guy. His lyrics are always kind of take you somewhere different than anyone else has ever kind of took you.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
gets into the whole horror mindset, and he becomes that character. Pretty evil character on those albums you did. Pretty
Yeah.
pretty dark
Yeah.
stuff, which I always loved. Really really cool horror kind of stuff. That's cool to know his writing process, because I was interested how it was. Were you there for a lot of the writing sessions, or were you just there for the
Oh
record?
yeah. No, he and I wrote every bit of it together.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
Kip Winger on Gale, he wrote that keyboard part, on harpsichord. And
Really?
because he has such a classical base, I mean, it was a Grammy nomination for classical composition. But see,
Yeah.
the thing about a harpsichord is that the notes are all the same volume. So you have to write and have pauses and perform it so that you're almost simulating notes being quieter and louder, and you know, he just got the whole thing. It's a really really great keyboard part, you know. So he's part writer on that song.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, yeah. He's obviously Kit Winger, amazing. You know, he's in doing his own thing with Winger now. I met him out here in Cozumel actually recently, or last year or something. He was doing the Monsters of Rock cruise, and it's only a short trip away from Cancun, so that was cool. Yeah, really cool guy, and obviously, yeah, he was another big part of these albums. Really, really cool guy. And how was it working with him on these you know, on the tours? And I was hearing that you, if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for you, he might not have got on the tour. Is that right? I was hearing something.
Well, yeah, I mean, Alice and I, we met. Bo, we're doing that Constrictor record, and Bo Hill brought him in, and uh, I knew two things immediately. Incredibly talented, just, you know, be an awesome member in any band. Great singer, great bass player, you know, creative, smart guy, and he's out of his mind. So I just said I got to get this guy in the band. And I remember, you know, when we went to start hiring people, Kip was with us, and different drummers would come in. There was a guy from Concrete Blonde, really great player. A lot of people came in, but just, you know, Ken Mary just had, you know, he had the drum shred thing just all over the place, and his sense of time was, you know, it was perfect. So, and then, you know, we put the rest of the band together. But, you know, he and Shep Gordon were nice enough to make me music director. So I ended up, you know, hiring everybody, and then, you know, formulating how the music would work in the show, like all the different theatrics that were happening, and I kind of wrote like a heavy metal soundtrack behind it. So
Wow, that's crazy. So you were really hands-on for these tours. You really
yeah,
got
yeah, and it's their sense of trust, and of course, you know, just Alice sitting there is an amazing influence. It's so intense. I mean, the guy, you know, I've said this before, but on that The Nightmare Returns, you know, we start that first chords, you know, Paul Taylor played the first chords, and it was at Joe Louis Arena. Everybody, you know, starts cheering and everything, and Alice goes, "Welcome to my nightmare," and it just exploded. And the band is basically shitting themselves, you know, because we'd never done anything like this, you know. So when we start walking up on stage, we're nervous, you know. And as soon as Alice busts through that cage door, none of us were nervous, because he just controlled every moment of that. And that was the way it was for the rest of the tour. We all felt really sort of almost arrogantly confident about everything, because the boss was just so fucking badass, you know.
Of course, no, he knows how to own the stage, and I from watching those shows, I can definitely see you kind of caught on to some of that energy of his, because you kind of dominated the stage with your own charisma as well, and it was just like the two of you were like a, you know, an unforgettable force of nature.
I knew I had to bring some beast to the show.
Definitely,
and that's kind of what Alice and I did, and he see, the thing is, he had never done a heavy metal version of No More Mr. Nice Guy or any of that stuff.
No.
But he fucking killed it. It was like, what? You know what I mean? Like, so
definitely.
What I've learned since then is you can put him in any setting and he will shine. You know, it could be a Broadway play, TV comedy, you know, whatever it is. Alice is just, you know, universally, he communicates on such a universal level, you know.
That's very true. Yeah, he's totally just a showman. Like you say, he could do anything pretty much. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in anything, because he can get into the zone. I think that's what's cool about Alice. He totally just gets into the zone of whatever he has to do, and it's authentic, it's real, and he makes the audience believe it. You know, he demands they believe it. You know, there's no there's no holdbacks. It's totally just and it is real. You know, the approach you guys had. I mean, like you say, you were all on the same page, and you did bring that beast. Whenever I refer to you to anyone, I say he's a beast, Kane. He's a, you know, there's no other way
that's
to.
what we were going for. We needed to tear anybody that saw us a new one. You know what I mean? That's the way we looked at it. And, you know, he was fully on board with it. And I, you know, and then, you know, I did that little tour with him recently. And, you know, number one, what an unbelievable band. I mean, they're just so good. And Nita, you know, she knocked my head off a long time ago. And it's just, I just love watching her, you know, just play and shred, and just her own band is killer with her husband there, Josh. I mean, she's doing amazing. And the rest of the guys, Tommy Hendrickson, Ryan Roxy, Glenn Sobel, and Chuck Garrick, they're just so incredibly talented and professional. You know, and it's funny, you know, in that setting, it's almost like they're a little bit underrated, you know. I mean,
Totally.
Nita's such a dominant force, you know. And see, one of the things that's great about having Nita in the band is, you know, you go to the show, and you know, you're going there to see Alice. It was the same, you know, when I was there. But, you know, now it's like a bunch of old guys, you know. And then if you just look to the right a little bit, there's a beautiful blonde there that shreds her ass off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's fucking perfect, you know what I mean? So I think it was good. You know, I felt like, you know, I was another old guy up there, but, you know, I had fun. It was really good.
Yeah, no, exactly. They all bring their own kind of energy, you know, and charisma. They've all got
definitely.
different
They're all
qualities.
great players too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Nita's amazing. She is fantastic. I was going to ask you what it was like returning, you know, to the stage with Alice. Did it bring back the same kind of feelings, or was it like a totally new
The only
thing?
thing that was the same was our friendship. You know, within a few days, we would meet down 6 a.m. for breakfast. You know, we'd talk for like an hour, and then he'd go golf, and we went out to movies together and dinners, and, you know, and Cheryl was with us a bunch, and, you know, so his wife Cheryl, and
Yeah,
so, you know, we that was what was similar. The rest of it was completely different, because and although they did, I think, in a kind of a nice way, they did a bunch of Raise Your Fist and Constrictor songs for that tour. So I thought that was kind of nice and cool. But just the general, it's a little bit more parody. And so the only thing that, you know, you there's real moments on there. And of course, you know, the big reality bringer is Alice Cooper. He has so much power. We opened for the Misfits.
wow.
It was, you know, I don't want to overdo these numbers, but it was a festival. It was pretty huge, and we've all seen them. So, you know. And, you know, it was my favorite show. Okay. You know, even doing the solo piece that I did, you know, the crowd was just outrageous. We had a blast. And then at one point, Alice is singing Poison. And he said, raise your hands. Sorry, raise your hands if you're poison. Dude,
Yeah,
the whole place did it.
that's
It's like
mad.
that kind of control. There's the guy maybe with the most control is that guy, Corey Taylor from Slipknot. With his arms. He can, a friend of mine went to see them, and massive crowd, 60,000 people, something like that. And he told everybody during the show to lay down on the ground. The whole place did it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's fucking control. You know what I mean? And you know, probably it's one of the best bands to come along in 20 years. You know, definitely. But yeah. So, you know, and Alice he has that power still. You know,
Yeah,
and he, you know, every minute of him is legit. You know what I mean? It's the shit. He can't help it. You know, he'll never not be him. And, you know, I caught him when he came out of rehab, you know, and you know, he survived and then came out of rehab. And so, you know, he and I got to know each other, you know, became friends. We were best friends literally within 5 minutes. But then you start looking at the 70s, you know, and who he was then, and the interviews then, and everything.
Yeah.
It's all still there in his history. So when you look at Alice, he's aware of every minute of that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's an intense dude without any fucking doubt.
Definitely. I see him as like a part of American history now. He's been through so much. He's met so many people and hung out with all these different people, you know, Andy.
Oh yeah, you
You
knew
know,
him?
the
Yeah, I'd be
names
sitting
go.
there and he'll tell me a story, and Jimi Hendrix is in it, or John Lennon, or Groucho Marx,
Yeah. Even Elvis, I think.
Elvis. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, he's been respected, you know, all of his career. It seems by these people. You know, I think
Yeah.
everyone kind of. There's never been anyone who hasn't been impressed with Alice. You know, he's certainly a one of a kind, and
Yep.
just something really unique. And yeah, talking about the current Alice Cooper band, I chatted with Ryan Roxy the other day, and he had a little message for you. He wanted to say, tell him I'm still practicing the harmony notes for the Freedom solo. Love to my favorite monster.
Oh, that's so funny. It's so weird because I see these guys, I hear about them, and then I'm playing with them. Brian is a fucking amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
Tommy as well. Have you heard Tommy's new project, Crossbone Scully? He played it for me during the tour. I just think it's just badass. Legit as fuck is what I always tell him.
Oh.
It's really good.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I've chatted with him a few times. He's definitely a really nice guy. Yeah, I met him before. I've been to a few Alice shows. I met him at one of them in Swansea, I think it was. And yeah, he's really, really nice guy. And he can
Oh, he's a
play.
great guy. He's the funniest motherfucker,
Yeah.
ever. So he called me. I don't know if you saw what was it, Sin City, but there's a character in it that Mickey Rourke plays called Marv.
Ah.
So he'd say, "Hey Marv, how you doing?"
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Buddy, I called him Knife. He's like the knife on the tour. And Chuck is really got a tremendous amount of experience. He gets what should be happening on the stage at different times. He's one of those guys. He's got a great perception of all that. You can sort of trust him to make. If he like gave me some suggestions. Because I'm coming back into like, I had to learn or relearn 26 songs or 24 songs, and
Wow.
the thing is so choreographed. It doesn't look it. But
No.
there's not one moment where there isn't a place for you to stand. I mean, I got hit in the eye right below my eye with the whip, Cheryl, and I was like, whoa, So you got to be careful what you're doing,
Definitely. Yeah.
But then then I got it. But Chuck was helpful in the beginning, so I didn't want to catch fire and burn the building down. I could have done that too.
Definitely not. That wouldn't be a good comeback.
It
gets some
I just was doing it for whatever.
Yeah.
No, because I'm at the point now where like when I was a kid, I remember I'd see bands, and I just did. There was a Lifetime Achievement Award at some kind of event in Vegas. That was like. Who was there? Billy Gibbons, Five Finger Death Punch,
Yeah.
Rick Nielsen, and Kip received an award for Lifetime Achievement.
Ah, of course, yeah. Is that the one
they asked me? What?
Yeah. Is that the one you gave him the award? I did see something about that.
Yeah. So I did a presentation for him.
Oh, I love it.
And during the presentation, I looked at the audience and I said, "Hey, it's so great to be here with all of you. You all used to look so good." And then I said, when we're kids, boys and girls, young men, young women, we're there to take down the man. We're angry young men and women, and we're gonna get up there and we're gonna fight the fight and sing the rally songs, and inspire change across the planet, whatever it is we think we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you pass 50 and you're up there, you're angry because your back hurts. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a different thing. So I just think, there's a certain point for me, and I always felt like this even as a kid, you know, I don't like seeing, Frankie Valli, you know what I mean? Like, bands
Definitely.
like we're like, I mean, it's like going to a Holiday Inn if everybody's old
It's
and they're
pretty
still
bad.
singing those songs. Now, listen, I get it. Some guys do it. It's fantastic. It's the soundtrack to people's lives. You know what I mean? And they want to go see these guys, even though, they're older. But I just think, a lot of it, the moving around with the guitar and doing all this shit, it looks fucking stupid. When you get past a
Yeah.
certain age, not everybody. Like Zach Wild, I don't know how he's not 70 or anything. He looks great. Alice's
Yeah.
band, they all look great. So it's not like that. It's just the sort of like, for me, that's where I'm at. So
Totally. No, I've
so
always.
I don't plan on playing live again. I'm not really into it. I play guitar like constantly. I have a new album that I've worked on. It's by produced a band called Chokehold with this
Ah, I saw.
singer, this girl singer Anya,
And
and
yeah, I saw that.
yeah, and it's heavy shit. We just did a video with the song is "Don't Want a Rock Star," and the video on YouTube. It's an AI kind of a vampire attacks a city. We came up with this story where um, they made these biotech passable female androids finally, and
Oh, that's
somehow
good.
in the neural matrix, a virus, an AI virus got in there, and it turned them into bloodthirsty biotech vampires with
Oh, wow.
wings. And so they go into different cities and just clean them of human beings, and the soldiers are there, but it's tough because these vampires really are having a lot of fun eating people. So
Uh-huh.
we did a whole video with it, and the thing that we all agreed on before we started is we're not going to even send an email to a record company. We're just not. We have no interest in being involved in this completely greed-driven,
Mm.
fucking bumbling music industry that's eating itself, and it eats the artists. I mean, I I remember I did some seminars, at these rock and roll fantasy camps, and there'd be younger people there, and I'd say, look, you got to think of where, if you want to be in the music industry, you got to think of where it started. So where did it start? It started, you're standing on the side of the road. You got shoes that, curl up with bells on them. You're playing a mandolin, and
Mm.
rich people go by in wagons and throw food at you. And it's still the same because,
Yeah.
you sign a record deal. Well, what is it? 70-20 or 80-10, there's another 10% out there that gets handled. But I'm just saying, these record companies sign you for that, and then you got to pay them back through your 10-20%. It's a
Mm.
total fucking ripoff. If you were, and they don't do anything. Now they used to put you on tour, they pay for a video. Now they don't even do that now. So it's
No.
bullshit. And my message to that kind of record company, because some of them are good, is just, fuck off. We're not gonna play that game anymore. And look, we're just a small band. We put this thing together. That unbelievably talented people. I mean, I got Ken Mary to play drums on that song and stuff. There's a lot
Oh,
of like amazing people.
that's
And
awesome.
the point is though that we have no interest in that end of the industry. And and look at there's people that I've met, like there's this guy Bruce Mee. He had this record company Now and Then. He's like a purist. He's a real guy. There's a guy named Matt Messer who he actually signed Tool and Shinedown and just so many bands. And
Mm.
he's a fucking genius, and he's a great guy, and he was right in there. EMI and all that stuff, that company. So, but my ultimate point is that with all the new tech that's coming down the road and the cultural shifts that come with it,
Mm.
these record companies are going to eat themselves alive. It's like some of these social networks; they're all turning into MySpace. It's like
Yeah.
you can't even fucking deal with them. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm just saying the positive in my life is just putting out music and having it sound amazing and not worrying about the rest of that crap. You know what I mean? We're just not involved. Our video is going to be on MTV, which I think is a cool thing. Somebody saw it and thought it was amazing. So
Oh, it's
that's a cool thing. But
fantastic.
we're not. There's no sort of pursuit of like a YouTube or any of that stuff. So, but I mean, if you can find it on YouTube, take a look. It's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I saw your thing on Facebook about it. It does sound really, really cool, and she's got a great voice. And
Well,
yeah.
she's we have an album's worth of songs,
Mm.
and there's some songs she sings you won't even believe it. She's a real talent, and you know I said to her, you know, would you ever want to tour? And she said, no, there's no way I'm gonna do that. She said, you know, because she's not
Yeah.
20, you know what I mean?
No,
So
no.
she said, I don't want to fucking do that shit, you know. She said, the
No.
last thing in the world I want to do is get on stage and open for Miley Cyrus. And she said, you know, Miley Cyrus is okay. I don't want to fucking do that shit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
no,
everybody kind of has the same attitude, you know. But she'll be
that's
in the
good.
next video. So
It's great to have a group of people who've got the same kind of mindset, and I totally respect that ethos, because I'm kind of similar. You know, I've always kind of felt the whole music industry thing. It's all take, and you know,
no, you know,
shoot
from
shoot
see
up
that
and
that's
spit
the
you out
thing.
kind of
It's like think of the artist. Think of the gestation period that they went through to become quote unquote a great artist. Like the best quote I ever heard was if you get good enough at what you do, the world will beat a path to your door. And that's the faith, the sort of altruistic, innocent faith that musicians have. And then look at these motherfuckers just using that.
Mm. Yeah, no, it's sickening, and I'm glad we've now got platforms where you can pretty much do it yourself, and if you don't want to get involved with these people, you don't have to. But the
You
problem
don't
is
have
that
to. And you know, the thing is that that's changing now because of all these, you know, the internet and all that crap, you know, and even AI, like all that stuff is changing, and they are scrambling to learn how to deal with it.
yeah,
You know, and you know, people complain, for example, about YouTube, you know, like, oh, I can't get any. You got to figure how many songs and posts, millions upon millions every day that
mm,
show up there. So they have to funnel these are like different pipelines that all this data goes through, and they have to control it. They can't give everybody an open, even shot. It's just not, you know, certain things have to take place. And so, you know, I think YouTube, you know, for Google, you know, I don't. I'm just saying it is one of the most. If you take a close look at it, it's a legit thing. And you know, that's why, you know, people that get good bumps, you know, they'll put like 10 grand, you know, as soon as the video comes out, and then they, you know, they get a good, you know, kickstart and that stuff. And you know, I can see that, you know what I mean? It's just when
yeah,
the record companies that want to take, you know, every single thing that they can from the artist and just try not to give anything back. And I'm thinking, when I take any job like that, there's nothing, there's no type of, never mind music. And look, the people that do it, you know, the artists that do it, you know, I feel for their situation. I've been in it before,
mm,
and you know, and it was different before, but now it's more extreme in that direction, you know. So
totally, yeah,
and look, the record companies have to try to survive. There is one. Everybody complains about these guys, but is this Frontiers company, because
uh,
they make no bones about what they are. You know, they started in their apartments and they put this thing together, a certain type of music. You know, we'll give you a couple of bucks. You know, and it's just let's put a record out. You know what I mean? It'll give you a
yeah,
little exposure. Those
that's,
guys, I think, are okay. And there's going to be a lot of artists that are going to, if they hear that, they're going to say, "What, are you fucking crazy?" It's just that these guys are so hard on their sleeve, you know. And I forget the guy's name that owns the. There's two guys. They're both telling me to, you know, go fuck yourself. And we were like yelling at each other and shit. It was pretty
oh
funny.
no,
Yeah,
no, I'm sure there's some.
but seriously though, I just don't see the value of it. So what I do is I'm just putting my stuff out there. I'm on X, you know, the Choco band is on X, and
Right,
we're getting, you know, pretty good response on X. You know, YouTube, you know, it's very slow. You know, we didn't do anything. We didn't put any money in it. You know, we didn't even prepare for it. We just threw it up there for whatever. You know what I mean? So we're not that concerned with it. I don't even know if we got any views. So, but
yeah,
um but yeah, so that's the thing. Now we've been recording for about a year and a half, so we have we have some great stuff, and that's going to be the excitement. Like, you know, the whatever 10 people or 10 million, whoever hears these songs, I'm just happy that anybody, you know, actually listen to it. You know, it gets everybody. We all start throwing wood. Not Anya, she doesn't.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And I mean, that it's good you've done it in an organic kind of way. You know, you're getting it out there yourself, and it's kind of something I do the same. You know, I distribute my music sort of just through an independent kind of distributor that you still
Yeah,
have the
put it out there. You
platforms.
know, don't worry about it. You know.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Just put it out there, and
And you
like
know,
you
and
say,
then there's artists like, you know, Billie Eilish. You know, she'll
mm,
post a picture of her like crossing her eyes and get 3.2 million likes.
yeah, yeah,
And I think as an artist, she is one of the absolute best artists to come down the road. And I'm talking, you know, never mind anything else other than the music. That first album, what was she like, 2? You know what I mean? It's like
exactly.
unbelievable, right? Her and her brother, you know, I don't know who's responsible for what, but you know,
Yeah, no, I agree. I
but
always
stuff like
liked.
that, you know, I don't mind that. You know what I mean? It's got all the plates spinning, you know,
Yeah,
and you know, when you get to that level, it's like not Miley Cyrus, but what's the other one? Taylor Swift. I don't know how that, you know, what, you know what I mean? So it's
mm,
just, there's certain phenomena that takes place, and it's out of the control of anybody. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah.
you know what I mean? So that's not, so, you know what category you're going to fall in. Where I am is just, I want to create great music, and I want to put it out there so some people can hear it. That's all I give a shit about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best approach. I mean, I like you say with Billie Eilish and people like that, I noticed the original stuff she was releasing. I found that very good and kind of real and kind of raw, and it had all the kind of elements you could see she was kind of doing organically kind of thing. And I think maybe these days it took a different turn. To me, I think she's probably been swept up in it all a bit much now, and it's kind of you know, the industry's
Well,
kind
you know,
kind
hard
of
not to
saying,
be, hard not to be. You
exactly.
know, I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went through that a little bit with my Geffen record, because I wasn't gonna, I wasn't gonna, you know, work with anybody. But
Mm,
then, you know, I started working with Desmond, and Desmond is the paradigm of that genre. You know what I mean? He is one of the most prolific writers in the history of music. He Diane Warren. There's some other people, and you know, absolutely. You know, so we ended up making the Saints and Sinners record, and you know, to my way of thinking, we really did the best we could, and we hit the mark, pretty good. But that wouldn't have been the album I would have done. I don't regret it. You know, I'm really happy I did that record. So, you know, and eventually my own sort of personal stuff came out in the New Normal record, where you know you can kind of hear kind of the differences, and then this new music, you'll see, like, you know, it's getting even closer to home. So
yeah, it's a
yeah.
very cool album. I've listened to a lot of those tracks, and they're very cool. And obviously, you had Alice and Alissa White-Gluz on
Ah,
the
man,
beginning
yeah,
at the end.
what a bizarre thing. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sitting there, and we did, you know, it's the beginning of the end. It's like, hey, we falls from, you know, I sang that thing.
mm.
I sounded like Alistair, but I was singing it, and we recorded it, and the vocals, you know, we went through all the work, and I said, you know what? I said, Alice can deliver these lines. Only he can deliver that, you know, like
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
talking about, you know, some corporate fucks that you got to bring down, you know, that sort of a thing.
yeah, yeah.
So they were going, would he do it? And I said, yeah, I think so, you know. And he and I don't hang out, you know. We just,
No, no,
every once in a while we're on the phone laughing. But
no.
so I called him, and I said, would you sing on a song? And he goes, yeah. And he
Oh,
goes, I'm in Hollywood. You want me to do it tonight? It was
that's
that
crazy.
quick, you
That's
know.
crazy.
So he came over, and he and Cheryl, and he sang, you know, on that song. So now we're thinking, that is so awesome, you know what I
That's
mean?
mad.
So to me, one of the most talented singers on the planet is Alissa White-Gluz.
Mm,
Gluz. She
amazing.
is, she can do anything, and
Yeah.
she's also, you know, she's very meticulous. You know, she sees every detail. So when you when she sang her parts on the song, she did them. I wasn't there. I just sent her the track. But with her, I did a guitar solo right in the middle of the song, and I said, you know what? That sort of standard arrangement isn't good for this. You know, it's like now the solo. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know, we got Buddy Rich came in for the middle of the song. You know, it's like, you know, fuck that. So I just went. I get the motive, but I think musically we need somebody else. And then I just thought, geez, I mean, could you imagine if Alissa would do it? I didn't know her, you know.
No.
So this guy Michael Alago, who he was one of the guys that he signed Metallica. You know, he's sort of a legend.
Wow.
He's good friends with Doyle from the Misfits, and you know he's got his own band now, Doyle. And so he asked him to ask her. So she said, "Well, yeah, send me the track," you know, and mostly, you know, because Alice is on it and stuff. That's pretty cool. So she agreed to do it, and I think maybe 8 months later, she sent the thing that she did. It was a while, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we put it on. We didn't change one thing. There's one point she sounds almost like an alto saxophone, like hitting these notes. It's fucking crazy, you know. So I then I finished that and I said, this is two of the most amazing. I couldn't even believe I got it together. And then I got the drummer from Baby Metal.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah, Hiroki. So like he was like, and that guy, he's like a machine, you know. And he's so different. He sent me back the tracks, and he said, "I hope these are okay." Dude, both of them were fucking unbelievable, you know. So yeah, I lucked out on that song. Yeah,
definitely. That must be a cool thing. And you know, like you were saying earlier, you don't you're not one to kind of you know, flog it out and kind of try and relive the old days and stuff, but you to make one song like that and come back with a really strong song with some really cool people, you know, obviously Alice and Alissa, you know, you've got the kind of modern metal thing.
That's the thing. That's the thing of it. Like my version of stuff, like if Alice is included, it can be anything. I know that he would come in and do something amazing.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, it was the same. That was the mentality of us playing together, you know, back in the day. That's what we did. So.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing song. If anyone hasn't heard it yet, it's insane. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is. It really is insane.
It's got some hits on it, so I think everyone might have seen it now. But if you haven't,
well, you know, that's the other thing. It's like we had a whole video thing planned, and so now I got Alice in Vancouver to agree to come and shoot the video. And I said, I wonder if I can get Alissa. And Alissa flew from Europe to Montreal, stayed in the airport for 6 hours, and then flew to Vancouver to be in the video.
Really? That is mad.
So then I wake up, the director told me they lost the location. So now we have to, he just sort of snuck us into this airport, a small airport. Dude, this is awful. There were no lights, you know, and like, you know, he was supposed to bring all this stuff. He didn't bring anything, and I mean, I couldn't even believe it. So it took an awful lot to even make that video look passable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that was a rough go, but you know, that's the way the music industry is. You never know what the fuck's gonna happen.
No, that's crazy. I guess at least that was the only kind of thing that went wrong. I guess everything else sounds like it was pretty fucking on point. Everything.
It's kind of a big one, though. You know what I mean?
It is a bit not the best thing to happen. Yeah, that is. Sounds a bit disastrous.
I ended up not being very nice. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I think you were right in that. I can't blame you. I'm sure. Yeah, no, that's mad. But you made it passable. You did a great job with the video. It definitely looks cool now. But yeah, I can imagine.
And then the record company didn't put any money into YouTube, but whatever.
Say that again. They didn't put any in.
They can do whatever they want. It's their company. What?
Sorry, a car went by. I couldn't hear you very well then. What was it? The record company?
No, they didn't put any money into YouTube. You know, you're supposed to
Really?
put something, 10,000, 20, 50 cents, something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mad.
Didn't do it. But look, like I said, it's their company. They can do whatever the fuck they want,
Yeah.
It's not,
Luckily,
I don't begrudge them,
No. Well, I'm glad a lot of people, are finding it anyway, and I guess that's the world we're in now. Like you say, there's a lot of luck now with musicians.
See, the way you would do that is when you sign the deal, you say you have to put $10,000 into Google for the video.
That'd be a good way to do it.
You know what I'm saying? That would be the thing. Then you won't get the deal. But I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, if you can secure something, I think when I interviewed KK Downing a long time ago, he was telling me business is a big part of the whole thing, which is unfortunate, but it's you've got to be pretty clued in, I think.
Well, it's one thing to be good at the business aspect. It's a sacrifice. You sacrifice some of your sort of precious creative, realm that you have floating around your head. But then you got to break through it and just do business. It's when the business is a fucking disease. That's when I'm saying to myself, you know what? People should just stop. Just don't do it. It'll be rough in the beginning, but things are changing.
It is. Yeah.
I guarantee with all this stuff that's going on and AI and all that stuff, we're not going to recognize shit like in 5 years. Guaranteed.
Things are changing. I'm guessing that's what made you come up with the title, The New Normal. Is it to do with the new normal we're living in now in the past few years that have been pretty crazy? And
well, I mean, the crazy thing of that cover was the cover had a girl not even close to the event, but wearing a mask. Yeah. And there was blood all over it. And it said the beginning of the end and then the new normal. And then COVID came out. Yeah. And people like even Alissa said, "Hey, do you realize? Do you see this?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Write an album about how everything's going to be good, would you?" Yeah. So I ended up. That was a wild thing. It was almost like a premonition of stuff to come. But and then I remember one of the big politicians said this is the new normal. Yeah, it's like freaking out a little bit. I know they've all been saying it. It's it's definitely the kind of the catchphrase to get it in your head what's going on, without actually telling you too much. But things are changing. Yeah, it's just that the insurrectionists, the real ones. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking David Lynch, for example, and well, the people, directors or artists, Martin Scorsese, somebody like that, or the band 9 Inch Nails, and those Trent Reznor, those are the insurrectionists, and then there's going to be people like that with that sort of creative thrust that will end up being in business. Because the stuff has to get monetized. At least now that's what everybody feels. So it's just the manner in which it's done. And the thing is that people won't naturally be more giving or altruistic about it. It's just the software itself will be tough to contain. One of the scariest things. See, I use AI quite a bit, and so. The thing about it is that it's not an intelligence. It's just a nuclear level pattern seeking search engine. So what it does is, and it accesses just the vast infinite database that's out there. So if you say, oh, I want to write a script about, something, and you give it all these points and everything, it'll write a script. Yeah. But it's accessing a blend of things, and the decision making is not necessarily intellectual. It's kind of random in many ways. So but it's good at seeking these patterns, different types of AI. Some of the imagery software that's out there. You just describe something, you'll get something back. It could be 100 miles away from what you were thinking, but it's just sort of a legit image. And that's a perfect example of what it is. It's just, it seeks patterns in the words and then tries to assemble it. And it does it, amazingly well. So, and the guys that actually program this stuff, because I've gone on these different boards and seminars and stuff, and they say we don't really know how it works. That we know, let's say maybe 3 or 4 miles into it, but beyond that they don't know. And it gives them the feeling that there is sort of some sort of perceptive ability that it has. It's somehow, and to not think. I'm probably boring you to death here, but it's no, but it's not to think that any of its motives, quote unquote, resemble human motives. It's just not. So if it makes a decision and something looks, let's say something looks really heavenly suddenly, was there a motive behind that? And what is it? Just ones and zeros, you know what I mean? What is it? So
yeah. No,
it's pretty. It's going to get crazy. I'll tell you what one of the biggest dangers is to me. Elon Musk said there's one sort of present danger semi, and there's one that's down the road, and that is if it grabs a foothold on some level of interdiction into society, or whatever it is, whatever that is, that sort of foothold that it gets, and it doesn't want to give it up. That's when trouble is afoot. And then the other thing is the government's control or attempt to control AI, because right now it's uncontrollable. Even Elon Musk and this open AI guy, it's uncontrollable. They're dabbling in it. They're sticking their hand into the cauldron. That's totally.
That's it. Yeah, I think that depending on the way they can manipulate it, it's, I guess, as if they can make it look like people are saying certain things or doing certain things.
But think of it this way, Matt. They won't be able to manipulate it soon.
No,
there'll be different levels, but it's going to be more and more difficult. And there's kids all over the place digging into this shit. It's not like the internet. It's not as simple as that. It's not like Google. It's not like a search engine. It is a search engine, but there's this other aspect to it that
it's like a complex evolving kind of thing. It's always evolving, I guess, and
it'll keep evolving. And the guys that really know it say that I mean, I don't know if you heard of this, but they tried to rewrite Chat GPT, and the older version kept rewriting itself. So they could delete areas, and it kept rewriting itself. It didn't want to go away.
That is weird. Yeah.
Now, when I say that, we don't know what that is. It's not the type of human desire that you would have for some similar, real world situation. It's not like that. It's just it kept rewriting itself. So what does it mean?
It is weird. That is weird. So it just doesn't want to go away. Yeah.
Yeah, we have no idea what that is either. It's like it's outer space somewhere. We don't.
It's weird times. I mean, it's kind of strange to think, years ago, things were so much freer without, even mobile phones, just, you'd call your friends up on the payphone or whatever. And it's funny how things have evolved in a short amount of time, and they're about to evolve again into something that seems more scary, to be fair. But it's strange to change. Even the way people listen to music now, it's all virtual. There's no kind of, everything that's real seems to be going away now. It's kind of, most things are sort of virtually enjoyed now. Even a movie, there's no sort of DVD anymore or anything. Everything's kind of online, and people are on their phones all the time. And
that's an interesting thing, because it almost reminds you of some like 60s sci-fi movie where everybody's wearing a jumpsuit or something. It's like
exactly.
It's like there's no ownership. Like that the generations that coming up behind me and stuff. It was like, we had the vinyl and then it went to smaller, the CD. Then it went to like peer stuff with Napster and stuff, and then it went to, you know, downloading songs. And now they don't even do that. It's just streamed. You know, so
Yeah.
they don't own anything. They don't want cars. They use Uber, and they don't want to they don't want to buy a house or anything. They'll either rent with their friends or stay home. You know, it's a different culture that's coming up. And the most interesting thing though is just how it reacts to the different tech that takes place. I mean, you know, the phone used to ring. We didn't know who was on the other line.
No.
You know, hello. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, now, you know, if you don't recognize the number, there's no way I'm fucking answering that. You know what I mean? That's how bizarre shit is. It's so different. I'm really glad. I really like all of it. You know, I like the whole idea of, like, you know, cloning. You know, I love all that stuff. You know,
It's
I don't see why, you know, there's some people that make some sort of religious statement in regards to all that stuff, and I don't see it being related. It's just, you know, then you know, for example, there's a lot of artists that are very, like, upset, musicians that are very upset that there's AI music. And I'm going, you know, I said, well, I don't know if you guys know what it is. It's basically a giant sampling machine, you know, but it assembles things. But I mean, remember, you know, when the drum machine came out, every drummer was like, oh no, there's not going to be any more drums music. You know, that didn't happen, you know, a little bit, but, you know, guys are playing live and doing everything. And then keyboards came out with all these strings and all this stuff. So I just think any sort of technological bump will take you down if you don't roll with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would never want AI to play a guitar solo of mine, or guitar part. I just wouldn't do it.
That's
But there's stuff, if you need to use it for something, you know, like if, let's say, somebody said, oh, hey, Matt, can you do an EDM song really quick with a female singer? You know, you don't have that equipment. You haven't been doing that all your life. So you might use it to make a few bucks. And there are people, you know, the guys would get, like, you know, editing programs and download all these samples and everything and put it together. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
So you know, I just think you get, you know, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the printing, when you used to want to get something printed, you'd take it in the shop and the guy would set the type. You know, you do all this shit. And then Hewlett Packard came out with a $200 home printer, digital. That was the end of so many businesses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what, I don't want to be, you know, I don't think anybody should want to be, you know, the end of some. I'm not going to use that. You should probably, it's just a tool. It's not like, you know, so.
No, I agree. A quote I always liked by Prince was when he said, it's okay to use a computer, but don't let a computer use you. It's kind of that kind of mindset. And
you know, I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I know somebody that uses AI a lot for music, and he said it's always, like, he's writing lyrics, and it always says, you know, let us do it. We can write the lyrics. We can finish the song. You know, it keeps saying, like, let me write the lyrics for you. And he doesn't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm the writer. You know what I mean? That's sort of it's pretty
funny. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, you have to have some, and it's the people that they're not real musicians or whatever, that would just go 100% in that direction. And that doesn't bother me. You know, there's I was executive producer at this company called Belief. And they did broadcast. We did broadcast design. I mean, the year we were there, we had a commercial in the Super Bowl, a Bud Light and stuff. It was a big company.
That's great.
And he, that place was one of those places where, what was I talking about? I don't remember what I was talking about.
The place you worked at.
No, before that.
Use of AI.
Yeah, it was AI, using AI. No. Anyway, it was a very nice place, and there were some great restaurants there.
Oh, really? That's good.
You know, that was the point I was going to make. Boy, it was a great sandwich.
Oh, wow.
Great with a milkshake.
That's what it
Yeah.
was. Fucking, no, but I know what
Yeah,
you
but
mean.
we actually we did a lot of stuff, and one of the things about a broadcast design place is that, if you look at the end of a commercial that blows your mind, I mean, there was these sort of transformer type commercials where this truck would crash into another one and then reassemble itself into this thing, stuff like that. They never get to sign their name, commercial by. So these are some really great, talented artists. And so we started making short films. And that was where I started getting into, just motion graphics, where it became really important to me. Like a song on its own, it's fantastic. But I think music and visuals are at their best when they're blended together. I mean, even if you're watching a movie with fantastic actor, when the music kicks in, it's just the whole thing sort of congeals for you. You know what I mean? It all comes together. So,
You
so
got involved a lot.
that's my intent now. Is like,
Yeah.
I have a lyric video coming out, and Anya's just sitting in a chair, and the sun's on her face, and then it's animated. Not animated. Film, and then it goes just to a photo of her, and then it ends, with a little bit of footage, and I just think it's just important to always have something extra going on. That's why, with beginning of the end, I did that video, and I just wanted something extra for people to see. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool to have a video, that kind of it brings it out, and sometimes it's good not to as well, because it kind of sometimes people's imaginations are the most powerful thing when you listen to music. So it's kind of good to have a balance, but sometimes doing a good video, I think it adds an extra element to what you're trying to say, and kind of
Now, did you have any more questions specifically? Because I've been sort of blabbing away. Was there
Yeah,
something?
no, that's right. Only a few. I won't keep you too long. I'll find my best questions that
Well,
I've
it's
got.
not that. I just started talking too much.
No,
So
that's
go
all
ahead.
right. Don't worry. I like a good chat on this channel. My interviews are always a bit longer. Yeah, I like to have a non-traditional approach. Just have a good chat. I did want to ask a bit about the machine gun guitar. Of course, your iconic guitar. I wanted to know, how did that come about? Who made that? Who designed that?
Well, see, here's the thing. Not too many people give Shep Gordon credit for that. But what happened was, some kid contacted, Shep, or Alice somehow got in there, and he said he had a guitar that looked like a gun. Now, I don't know if Shep was really doing this, but he might have been thinking the Rambo thing. I have no idea. But he said, "Hey, Kane." I said, "Yeah." He said, "There's a kid here with the guitar. He wants to see if you want to." And I said, "Oh, okay." I open up this giant anvil case, and that thing is sitting there. I was going, "What the?" And his name's Rick Johnson, and
Wow.
yeah, and he was an army brat. He was telling me his dad was like a major in the army, so he was always around weapons.
Oh, wow.
And man, did he make a good guitar. And the thing of it is, it was one of my favorite guitars to play every night. How about that? With all that
Yeah.
shit on it and everything, I just loved the way it played. It's
Really?
fantastic. Yeah. So you wouldn't
Yeah.
expect that,
No, so it wasn't just
a
like a
gimmicky
novelty.
novelty thing, but yeah, no,
No,
he's a real luthier. He knows what he's doing.
that's
If
really
anybody wants to, find out what else he's doing, Rick Johnson. I think the name of the company is Schlemmer Guitars, but Rick Johnson is his name.
yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, yeah. If I still play guitar, I'd be looking that up. It was always one of my favorite things, just to watch you playing that thing. And I guess another thing I wanted to get onto is obviously your style of playing. It always blew me away. You've got a very unique kind of
Yeah.
sound, and even the way you play the guitar looks so effortless. It looks like you're just tapping the guitar kind of thing, and it's fucking making this amazing sound. And how do you kind of put it down to that? What's your how did you learn?
Well, the thing is that when I was really young, my dad used to play jazz records all day and night. That's all I ever heard. And then, then when I got to a point where I was like, kind of, I could decide for myself what to listen to. It was Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and just all those fucking bands back in those days, like Small Faces. I don't care what it was. Just it's an explosion of, even bands like Moby Grape, bands of the West Coast and shit. Captain Beefheart.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying it was such a diverse time, and suddenly out of nowhere those riffs that Jimi Hendrix played, not Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page played, down, 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 down. It's like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? And of course, Hendrix, that first album was just way, way past anything I'd ever heard. So those were the true roots of but as I got older, I actually would learn, Coltrane solos, on the guitar. So what ended up happening was, I'm playing and, I hear what everybody does, but I just do what I do, what I hear. There's a song called Wonderful on the New Normal album. You can really get a sense of like, how I see the world differently on the guitar. So it's that sort of blend. It's like my heart and soul is in, bands like that, Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and a lot of those bands from back in the day, the Cream. I don't know, the list is huge. And then there's sort of this like avant-garde kind of a jazz psycho thing that goes on in my head as well. So those are the two main influences. And lately I listened. There's a music style called enka. It's a Japanese music.
Oh, really?
And I sort of fell in love with that because the vocals are just like guitar playing, and the sense of time, the meter that's underneath it is so fluid. It's just kind of an amazing thing. There's a type of it that's really kind of schmaltzy, but then there are these other artists that are just, there's another type of music called minyo, and it's similar. It's even more hardcore. But so I've been listening to that a little bit. But recently, Falling in Reverse, In This Moment, those bands. So
yeah, cool. So you stay abreast of all the kind of new stuff coming out. You're not.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm listening to Crossbone Scully. I listen to that. I actually, just because I know them doesn't mean I'm not going to listen to them. You know what I mean?
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
So I've been listening to that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And do you think metal's going in like a good direction? Because it's away from the days of leather and studs and all that stuff now, but the music's evolved as well into kind of something, I guess you could say heavier because of all the down-tuned guitars and stuff. It's got kind of melodic and heavy elements. Do you think that's a good way for modern metal to go, or do you think it should go back to how it used to sound, or what's your thoughts on that?
No, there's bands out there that people don't, really listen to that much, or, they're still popular, but like I said, Falling in Reverse, there's a perfect example of somebody who's, Ronnie Radke is just stunning in terms of his work ethic. I mean, if you you see that video, Watch the World Burn. I mean, that's some real shit. And you got to think of like the writing and the practicing, just like getting it down, and they do it live. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. So
crazy.
Bands like that, In This Moment. I mean, they're not brand new, and neither is Falling in Reverse, but they're still doing things. And now there's events that have taken place in the past that I believe would still be huge today, like the Beautiful People video with Marilyn Manson. That woman, she's an artist. She's directed a few things like that. So it's not as if the past has been completely thrown out the window, because the influence is all there in a big way. And there's a lot more sort of conservative rock kind of music out there. But I think as soon as guitar players with spandex and headbands and stuff end up on like oatmeal commercials and stuff. It's just time to wrap it up. That's
True. Yeah, no, that's good. It's cool. You're kind of quite eclectic with your taste, you know. I guess that that might have been something that made you have such a unique sound yourself, kind of, you know. And I love the melodies. I mean, you added so much extra melody to the Alice Cooper songs when you played on those albums, and you know, and live, you know, the way you played everything was really unique and just a great sound. I've always been just blown away by your solos in particular. Really, just really melodic, nice.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it's all intentional. But
That's
you know,
it.
Alice was he was the light at the end of the tunnel. So I just kind of went in that direction. You know, like his sort of creative energy. It's just really powerful, and he's not. He and I never have had an argument ever,
Really.
and that's him. That's not me. You know what I mean? Because I'm back in those days. I was so hyper. You know, so he's just sort of like a heavy force to be hanging around with. So yeah, so the solos and what I played on there, the influence, his influence is all over it. So.
And do you have a favorite song of that period? It's probably hard to tie it down. Is there a song you enjoyed working on the most, or just one you're really proud of from either of those albums, Constrictor or Raise Your Fist?
Well, Constrictor, it's life and death of the party, definitely.
That's
Alice and
great, yeah.
I remember recording the demo. It was we were in Maui, and so
Oh,
we drove up like 2 hours to this guy's house up in the hills, and we go there every day for uh, crawling. We wrote there too, by the way.
oh,
So
really?
we would go up there and go there every day, and then but it came. I thought on that album, I thought that was one of the ones that came out good. I don't like the sound of the record, just the what we went through to try to get the thing to sound right, because the
Really?
drums that were chosen, not by me, but the style and everything was so wrong, so they had to redo the drums, some crappy thing, I don't know. But anyway, so but what's his name on Raise Your Fist? Geez, that's I think maybe it's either Roses or Chop Chop Chop. The solo on Prince of Darkness is one of my best, but I would say maybe Roses on White Lace. That whole trilogy it freaks me out.
Yeah.
No,
Roses on
because I
White Lace.
said to him, I said, what about a bride in a wedding gown and there's
Oh,
blood stains and it looks like roses?
that was your idea, was it?
That was the beginning of that psychotic lyric trilogy,
Yeah. Yeah, I've always loved Chop Chop Chop. It's a very dark song, but it's just catchy.
Engine of Destruction.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Alice, a perfect
Killing machine. I love it. I haven't listened to that one for a while. I'm gonna get that album out again. I've been so busy over here, but I grew up on that stuff, and I just love it, And it's funny with Alice, I can put on these albums again, whether I haven't listened to them for a while, and all the lyrics come back to me, as soon as you start.
Well, Kip wants to remix that album. He would probably
Really?
do an amazing job with it.
Yeah, I always noticed a bit of a sound difference between Raise Your Fist and Constrictor. I always preferred the sound on Raise Your Fist, but I love.
Yeah, that's because two things. We finished a tour and the band hit the ground running. We were now professionals. Like
Yeah,
I think before that, the Nightmare Returns, none of us were professionals. You
really.
learn how to be a musician, how to play, what's at stake. When you're up there and you see all these people, you realize,
Yeah,
gotta fucking deliver. And
got a
so,
juicy.
if some people drink too much, they do it, they don't give a shit, and those people disappear. But
Mm.
that whole band was just they got it, And so we just the tour ended and the songs were already written and we just got into the studio right away. And of course, Michael Wagner is like a heavy metal animal.
Yeah,
And I'd gotten my sound together. So, I said, let's make this, like a heavy dose of Alice, the metal Alice. And that's what that record was.
Yeah, I love the metal Alice. Yeah, I'd say those two albums, and Dragontown and Brutal Planet, are like the heavy metal Alice experience, and I've always loved that as a metal man, of course. So the metal's
Yeah.
important to me. So
Oh, yeah, and even now, I don't care what kind of music you put in front of him, he'd kill it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing stuff. And I was going to say, how did Alice actually find you in the first place? How did that happen?
Well, I sent a tape to this company. I think it was called Screen Gems
Oh, wow.
Publishing, and this guy named Don Passion. It's kind of like that King of Queens show, Situation. No, I don't know if you know that show. No, but Don Passion sent my tape to Bob Ezrin.
Oh, wow.
And Bob Ezrin heard it, and they all had a discussion. And I came in, and one of the good things was I didn't do any drugs or any of that stuff. So Alice was minutes out of a rehab, so that was a plus.
Wow.
And then Ezrin, I mean that's a hard guy, and you gotta at some point you'll have to deal with him, and it depends on how you handle it. He likes confrontation, but he likes honest confrontation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once you both establish that, we're now like great friends. He advises me a lot. Like I sent him songs from this new project, and he heard the song. He goes, "Hey, the music's okay." He said, "I have no fucking idea what you're singing about." You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So he's really, and then I fix it and send it to him, and he'll tell me if I fix it or not. So he's a big influence, and he always has been. He's one of the pivotal people in my life. Him, Shep, and Alice, and in another way Cheryl, because she's always there, very very influential, very intelligent.
Definitely.
So
Yeah. They're really cool.
it's a good group to know. I mean,
Definitely.
I went to Alice's last birthday party.
Oh, that must be cool.
Well, but guys like Bernie Taupin were there. All these people,
Wow.
and I saw Shep, and we just started laughing.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and I think Bernie wrote a few songs for the From the Inside album, didn't he? Yeah, which is something a lot of people probably
They're
don't know.
good. They're really good friends, by the way.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, a great lyricist. And I was going to say, with out on the road, you've always kept in good shape. And how did you find that during touring and stuff? How did you find the time to keep in good shape and work out?
Here's the scenario. We drive 18 hours, right? We pull in 7 a.m. to a hotel.
Yeah.
And everybody gets out. They get a candy bar, a Coke, and go up to their hotel rooms.
Oh.
Alice and I would find a gym, and he'd find a golf course.
Oh.
Every fucking city.
Cool.
So, and then I had them bring some weights, a bench, and a little pull down thing to on tour. And the third night, I saw those guys setting it up, and I went over to the crew guy. I said, "Dude, fuck this. I'm not gonna. I don't want to make you guys do this. Don't have to do it.
Oh.
This is the last night." And they were really, they got it. They were very grateful because so it's fucking kidding me. Like they had to pick up 45-pound plates and stack them, and
Yeah.
They
That's
weren't machines. They were like free weights. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, fair play. And
I still do that. I still go to the gym and bench, and I'm going to go to the gym today. So
fair play to you. Yeah, no, that's good. It's good to keep on top of that stuff, and it's good you're still doing it. That's shows your commitment there. And I guess that was
it's just I kind of have to do it mentally. It's like one of those.
Yeah. It's a good release for anything that's on your mind.
I think it has to do with the fact that I stopped doing heroin. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's like that could be a good way to get out of
Yeah,
it.
you know what I'm saying? It's like it replaces heroin. The same feeling. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. Well, I'm sure. And I was going to say, did you have any involvement on the Trash album? I'd heard things that you played um,
What?
on the Trash album. Did you do anything on Bed and Nails or one of those songs on the
Oh, I
Trash
played a
album?
solo on Bed of Nails. We had
Was it?
another song that we wrote, but it didn't make it to the album for some reason. But
Oh,
yeah, Bed of
and
Nails. That was it. Yeah.
how was that? Getting back with Alice to do that? Was that was it a fast sort of thing, or were you sort of?
Yeah, it was just a fast. You know, we're always like, if he was in Hollywood back then, you know, I'd be at the office, and you know, we're all fucking around. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. And obviously, you did your own songs back in the day as well as now. You had a Rock Doll. Do you have any cool memories of doing that song and the video? Obviously, really cool video on
The
that
only
one.
thing I really remember is two things. At one point, I was standing on stage, and there's all these girls there and crew and all this, and I went, I can't even believe I fucking pulled this together somehow. You know what I mean? Man, and look, it's not like it was all me. It's like, you know, things happen, dominoes, somebody does this, somebody else does that. You can't do it alone, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then Joe Perry came to the thing and was talking to that guy, Toby Mamus, and he heard that I was from Boston. So he just came down to see the shoot.
Oh.
And I remember I told him, my brother had went to a apartment in Boston, and Aerosmith was rehearsing upstairs. And you know, my brother's older than me, but
Yeah.
so they moved out, right?
Oh shit.
And he went up there, and there was a fur coat there. So I told Joe Perry, I said, "Yeah, my brother has some." He, oh man, he said, "Don't ever tell Steve that. He's still looking for it."
Fucking the secret's out now.
But that's a weird little story, you know.
Yeah, that is weird. It's funny how things align, don't they? That is
Yeah.
that's the thing with life. It's there's so many turns, so many things that can happen. You make one move and everything else comes together.
Well, that's what it is. You don't. The quote I said, "If you work hard enough, the world will beat a path to your door." It's really true. I mean, and the guy that said that, and I'm not saying you didn't work hard enough. I'm just saying the guy that said that is this guy Art Blakey. He's a black drummer for a band called the Jazz Messengers. Really, you know, iconic.
Wow.
And somebody asked him, "How do you make it in the music industry?" And that's what he said. And he said, "Look, win, lose, or draw, you have to have faith. I don't care what your faith is, whether it's religion, you know, you have faith every time you take a step that there's ground beneath your feet. So there's a certain level of faith that we all exercise every day, but you have to have faith in the system. And if you can link your intellect to that, in other words, you have a belief system that you are feeding, and you just get medieval about it. Like one of the things I would say in those seminars is obsession is a good thing. I don't care what anybody says, you know, things will fall away, relationships, you know, people, you know, with this, you know, you might make less money, you know, whatever it is. But an obsession is a good thing because you're doing something that's coming from inside of you. I'm talking about, you know, the good kind. And you know, you want playing guitar, drums, painting, whatever it is. Because we're not going to be here very long, you know.
No,
it's going to be over in 10 minutes.
Take your chances.
So what did you do? You tamped down something that you were unreasonably passionate about. It's not a good idea.
No, I totally agree. That's a good way of looking at obsession. Sometimes you can think being obsessed with something, it's like, oh, you know, it's not going anywhere or something. But
well, somebody usually tells you that. You don't usually come to that. Somebody goes, you know, you're obsessed with this. And my personal feeling is, you know, yep, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know? That means I'll be good at this. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, and it gives you something to focus on. I mean, I've always believed in manifesting things and kind of you put your thoughts right on whatever it is you want to achieve. You know, it does happen. You know, I've seen it happen.
I'll tell you something, Matt. Here's the good and bad news. When you're a kid, you imagine shit. And you imagine at some point being a musician, right?
Yeah.
You only go as far as you dream. If you don't dream past a certain point, probably not going to happen. And that's what my thing was. I dreamt up to the past point of being on a major stage, but I didn't go beyond that, as a kid, my imagining. And so you find yourself, suddenly at this plateau, and you're not quite sure what to do. Everything else seems to fall in place naturally. I think there is that sort of a dynamic going on, and it's part of this faith magic. You can call it bullshit or whatever, but it's related to that. And so, what else are you going to believe in? I have a faithless life. That doesn't make sense.
No, I resonate with that. It's interesting you say that, because I always think that I've always relied on manifesting and stuff, and I found when I was a bit younger it worked better. I could really get the mindset right.
You know why? You know why it worked better? Because you asked. You asked.
Yeah.
Like, instead of saying, geez, I really wish. As a kid, you assume that it's going to happen. And so you say, I want this to happen now. Make this happen. Like, it's somehow you're having that conversation. So, if you do that now and you say, I really want this to happen, and you ask there's a movie called Bruce Almighty. Did you ever see that?
I love that. Yeah. Brilliant film.
And when Jim Carrey says, I just want her to be happy.
That's right.
And it was the first honest thing the guy said. He said, I don't care about me. So, Morgan Freeman, pokes him in the chest and say, now that's a prayer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not getting religious here. You can ask whatever. You can ask like a biscuit that you worship. I don't know. I'm just saying that's, what is it? Deepak Chopra said, the sound between your thoughts is the voice of God. So you have to take the conversation out, and you just have to have silence in your head.
Yeah.
And that's, I really believe, you make a request like that, it's going to eventually find its way.
Yeah.
That's my belief system. I know it's kind of crazy, but it's always kind of worked for me.
I totally get you, and I think if you practice it, you sort of know it's real. I've had too many things that just are weird. You sort of think that, how the hell did that happen? It's just because I believed it would, and you
think of your greatest successes, because you have them, and you should say to yourself, like, why did that happen? Just analyze the timeline, because you're now on the tower. You can look down and possibly trace your steps and the steps of the people that ended up being involved. You know what I mean? And it's a weird thing. Yeah,
it is. I mean, I've kind of, I guess, with my own music and stuff, I've always visualized, being successful with it and stuff, but I can't seem to think past a certain point, partly because I'm a bit disillusioned by the industry, what you said before. And also, I don't know, like, I want to make good money with it, but I know that's not really a thing these days so much. But also I want it to be my main thing I'm doing. And that's a kind of a weird direction. So I'm more kind of about just writing good songs, people enjoying the songs.
So what is the greatest manifestation of what you want to do? Is it a music video? Is it, and whatever the thing is, the due diligence that's required. I mean, I had to learn 7 different types of software. Never mind the standard ones like After Effects and Final Cut and all that stuff. I started when AI was just very at its beginning, and the visuals were cute, but they weren't very good. So I ended up, and fortunately, one of my friends is like deeply immersed in it. So I was able to, learn these softwares. Like, there's one called Kling and Runway and Midjourney and Mystic, and there's all these programs, and I use them all. And by the end of the video, taking it into After Effects and everything, and syncing it with the music, it was quite a journey. But I set a very high standard for myself. Now, when I say success, what is it? Rick Rubin said, if you record something and one person and you release it, it's a success, and one person hears it.
Totally.
That's all it takes. So, but you have to see where you set your standard. That's what it is. If you were going to push yourself past the stuff that you don't think you can do, then you're, and it's tough as you get older. It's tougher. It definitely is.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's something about
because like when you're 16, a big piece of bubble gum's like a fucking Caribbean vacation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, true. I think we get a bit jaded by the world as we get older, and then it's kind of things seem a bit less. I guess.
But you fight the good fight. I have to go actually. So
That's cool.
Clear?
Yeah, no worries, Kane. It's been a good chat. I appreciate your time. That's really, really kind of you to come on the channel today. I've been very interesting stuff you've been saying, so I appreciate everything.
All right, no sweat.
Thanks, buddy. All right, cheers, Kane.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. See you later. Bye.